It's a country, 6 letters. Can you solve it? In one classroom, during a psychology experiment, 80% of students failed to solve this exact puzzle. Not because they were dumb, but because something inside them had already broken before they even started. They were programmed by environment to give up and fail. Have you ever felt that? The moment when you stop trying because you've convinced yourself it's not even worth attempting anymore. Yet people, just like you, get all the money, health and wealth they want. I've always been a terrible sleeper. And I mean terrible. The kind where you wake up at 3 a.m. and stare at the ceiling, calculating how many hours you have left. I have a great idea. Millions will make millions. What was the tune? Remember the teacher in the high school? Oh, and that's how we solve overpopulation. Easy. Why would you say that to a police officer? I'm crazy. No, seriously. Go away and never come back. And I did everything they tell you to do. No screen after 8, dimming the lights, chamomile tea that tasted like hay. And when nothing worked right away, I just stopped trying, I guess. And I didn't say I give up. That would be too honest. Instead, I said something much more dangerous. I'm just a light sleeper. 6 hours is good enough. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. 4 words that lock the cage from the inside. In 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman was conducting an experiment at the University of Pennsylvania. The setup was simple but brutal, something you won't be able to repeat today. Dogs were placed in a harness where they received electric shocks with no way to escape, just pain with no control. Later, the same dogs were placed in a new environment, a box with a low fence dividing it. One side was electrified, the other wasn't. All they had to do was jump over a small barrier to escape the shocks. But here's what happened. They didn't jump. They didn't even try. They just laid down and whimpered, accepting the pain. When Seligman brought in new dogs who hadn't experienced the first experiment, guess what? They immediately jumped the fence to safety. The first group hadn't lost the ability to jump. They'd lost their belief that jumping mattered. And Seligman started to work on 2 new things. First, testing the similar concept on students, because students will take any abuse. And second, on a system to break out called ABCDE. We'll get shortly into it. But let's get back to these letters first. This classroom puzzle, right? V, E, D, E, and S. Here's what the professor did. He divided the class into 2 groups. The left side of the room was given 5 puzzles to solve before getting to the country name. But there was a trick. All 5 puzzles were impossible. Every attempt led to failure. The right side got 5 solvable puzzles. And the both sides received same puzzle, this one. The right side, no problem, they just solved it mostly. The left side, the ones who'd experienced nothing but failure before, mostly didn't. 80% failed. They failed not because the problem was hard, but because their belief collapsed first. So that's what Seligman called learned helplessness. When effort doesn't pay off enough times, your brain stops expecting progress and starts expecting failure. And when that belief sets in, you don't just lose motivation, you lose identity. And you are more likely to fail everywhere. When you've been in the cage long enough, the door could be wide open and you'd still stay inside. That was me with sleep. I didn't say I give up, I said, this is just how I am. That was the real loss, not sleep, but belief in change. Bruno Bettelheim was a psychologist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. Places designed to strip humans of all control and dignity. He observed something fascinating and heartbreaking. In the camps, intentionally, rules would change daily, punishments were random, and people quickly broke down mentally. But some didn't, and Bettelheim figured out why. The solution was deceptively simple. Make small daily decisions. Brush your teeth when you decide to, not when told. Move a rock from here to there. Not because it changes your environment, but because the choice itself is an act of resistance. Even the smallest choice can become a fortress against helplessness. Think about that. In literal hell on earth, what saved people wasn't grand escape plans. It was deciding to move a pebble 3 inches to the left because they chose to. So I picked up something tiny with my sleep. I decided to go to bed at the same time every night and have this alarm set on my phone to go to bed, not to wake up. And I got 5 minutes of morning sunlight, not because TikTok said it would hack my circadian rhythm, though it's true, but to show my brain I still had control. And at first, nothing changed with my sleep, but something shifted in my mind. I was no longer a victim of insomnia or life. I was someone making choices. And slowly, it worked. Not perfectly, I still have bad nights, but the cage door creaked open. I didn't know at the time, but I was actually applying Seligman's principles, ABCDE, because he didn't just identify the problem, he created a framework to fight it. That's a weird abbreviation. A stands for adversity. The challenge you are facing, for me, not sleeping. B is for belief, how you interpret what's happening. I am just a bad sleeper, that's who I am. That's a belief. C is for consequence. How that belief affects you? The most powerful question in psychology. How does it work for you? I stopped trying new solutions. I accepted fatigue as my new normal. D is for disputation or disruption, challenging that belief. Is it really true I can't improve it? Where's evidence? E is for energization. The new energy that comes from changing your belief. The most powerful part, it works for almost any area where you given up. Remember the dogs? They didn't lack strength. They just didn't believe in the exit anymore. And that was me. And maybe that's been you too. Where in your life have you been telling yourself, that's just how it is? Where have you stopped jumping? And so the country is, of course, if you haven't guessed yet, Sweden. Solvable the whole time. But, for some people, belief broke first. But now that's where it all gets much, much deeper. The same belief system shows up in the biggest lie we've been taught, that aging is inevitable. We've accepted it like gravity, but biologically aging is just damage, molecular errors, and like all diseases, it can be treated. But because we believe it's unstoppable, we don't even try. We joke about our aging bodies, that we are too old for this shit or that shit in our 30s. We accept decline as natural in our 50s. We call 80 years old lucky just to be alive. It's an example of the ultimate learned helplessness. We are the dogs lying down, accepting the shocks when the fence has always been jumpable. What if we've been wrong this whole time? What if aging isn't a fate, but a technical problem waiting for a solution? Once I broke the belief that my sleep was fixed, I started seeing that nothing is fixed. And that's how I got into longevity field. And the science already agrees, aging is not fate. Just ask the naked mole rat or tortoise or immortal hydra. But research and progress are extremely slow, and not because the problem is impossible, solutions exist, but because collectively we humans, we've accepted that aging is inevitable. We fund cancer research because we believe cancer can be cured, but we barely fund aging research because we don't believe aging can be treated. Though it's the highest risk factor for cancer and heart disease and dementia. It's learned helplessness on a global scale. So, what is your small rebellion? What's your equivalent of moving a pebble 3 inches to the left? Maybe it's getting those 5 minutes of morning light, like I did. Maybe it's taking a short walk after dinner. Maybe it's learning about the science of longevity. What matters, what really matters, is that you choose something small and just do it. That you remind your brain, I'm not helpless, I can still jump the fence. The students gave up. The dogs lay down. I told myself I was just a bad sleeper. And we've all been told aging can be helped. But those are just beliefs. Sweden was right there the whole time. Jump the fence. And if you want to learn more about aging, check this video next. I'll prove to you that it's just a glitch in the evolution. And aging is bad, living is smart, so I'll see you there.